My first experience with the Latin language Spanish was not from the big green bird, better known as Duolingo, but from the queen herself, Dora the Explorer. While watching Dora and Boots try to stop Swiper, I see my sister in the corner of my eyes, relentless. And I know that look in her eyes. That look means this is going to be the longest flight I've ever been on. In fact, this is the only flight I've been on. It was my first time in an airplane, and my 5-year-old self was terrified. I sat by my mother and my sister, and as I looked out the airplane window, I pictured the family I was leaving behind in Uganda. I realized I may never see my grandma Khadija again. She felt like a second mom to me, and leaving her was one of the hardest things I've ever had to do. I didn't know it then, but I'd start embodying my cartoon hero Dora, exploring a scary new world full of obstacles I didn't understand. While I knew how scared I was, I had no idea what my mother was thinking. Here she was, taking her 2 daughters to a new country alone, with no idea how she'd take care of us. But here I stand, as a testament to the resilience my mother displayed in the face of challenges to her unique situation as a single immigrant mother. Today, we're first going to get out our maps and identify the struggle single immigrant parents face. Then, we're going to put on our backpacks and find the causes for these struggles before finally swiping away these problems by giving some sensible solution. As Dora would say, ready to explore? A struggle I personally faced when immigrating to the United States was the language barrier. I knew little to no English at all. The only thing I for sure knew how to say was, "Hi, I'm Dora." As you may know, this did absolutely nothing when trying to talk to someone. I am not the only person who faces these language barriers. For many immigrant parents, the inability to speak English fluently can create a wall that feels insurmountable. Everyday tasks from navigating public transport to filling out job applications becomes a daunting challenge. A blog by Next with Virtual College in 2023 explained that not only can language barriers increase the time it takes for immigrants to settle into a new location, but they can create a sense of loneliness and isolation that may impact well-being. My mother, on the other hand, was fortunate enough to have known the language beforehand, which made it easier for her to communicate with other Americans. Without the struggle of navigating a new language, it was easier for my mother to land her first job, working in a hotel, then her second, working in a beef plant, then her third, working in a preschool. Many immigrants take on multiple low-wage jobs just to make ends meet, often sacrificing their own well-being for their children. This constant juggling act may lead to exhaustion and stress, making it harder for these parents to provide the emotional support they need and the emotional support their children need. Growing up, I never got to see my mom regularly. She was always working, and for that, I resented her. I hated how she didn't make time for me. I hated seeing all the other kids have their parents come to parent lunch, and I hated being the only kid without a parent at band concerts. I understood that's how it had to be for us to make ends meet, but the resentment didn't go away. I wanted to have that mother-daughter relationship with her, but she was never at home. Finally, there's the feeling of isolation. Moving to a new country can be incredibly lonely, especially when you're a single parent. Without the family or friends nearby, many immigrant mothers find themselves facing the world alone, which can lead to feelings of hopelessness. An article titled "Migrating to a New Country Can Be Lonely," written by Esmeralda Tamoy in 2024, says that loneliness doesn't mean withdrawal from society, but also depression and constant nostalgia for being in a different environment. This feeling, better known as homesickness. For my mother, it has always been me and my sister as her only family. For the longest time, it has been us against the world. When living in a homeless shelter, my mother never stopped working her 3 jobs. She never stopped, even in the face of struggles. The feeling of missing the life you had before can hit hard when you realize that you're all alone in your new place. No family, no friends, no one to help you when you're struggling. It is just you in the world. And E. Casey Foundation on March 18, 2016 states that Kids with immigrant families are more likely than their native-born peers to have parents with stable employment. At the same time, they are also more likely to live in poverty than their U.S.-born counterparts. Now let's put on our backpacks and uncover the causes behind these struggles. Economic factors play a huge role. Many immigrant families arrive with limited resources and face barriers to unemployment that can keep them in low-paying jobs. Additionally, cultural differences can make it challenging for them to connect with community or access available resources. A blog by Law Group in 2020 states that adapting to a culture can be difficult for many immigrants to overcome, affecting their ability to integrate into a new society. My mom cared a lot about me and my sister. She moved us to Minnesota to ensure that we would fit in, but I grew up watching my mom be excluded every day. When growing in Uganda, my mom was head of her class, was captain of the speech and debate team in her school. She graduated top of her class in the top university, graduating with an IT degree. She was basically an academic weapon. Then we moved here, and everyone treated her as if she was a toddler. At the beginning of the school year, my car got hit in the school parking lot. When the school officer was talking to my mom, she spoke to her in a voice that I can only describe as demeaning. The officer continued to say, "Ma'am, can we please calm down? It was no one's fault. And does anyone have any questions?" While directly looking at my mother. When we got home that same day, I asked her, "Why do you let people talk to you that way?" And all she said was, "I'm used to it. It doesn't change who I am if they do." These problems also apply to immigrant teens. An Italian with Teen Vogue in 2016 says, a study in 2016 found that immigrant youth were more likely to experience bullying than their U.S. peers, particularly cyberbullying. Furthermore, the lack of access to health care is another significant source of stress for many immigrant families. Without proper insurance or with limited knowledge of the healthcare system in their new country, parents may struggle to get medical care they need for themselves and their children. Adrian Curran with KFF in 2023 states that many lawfully present immigrants face a 5-year waiting period to enroll in Medicaid and children's health programs, better known as CHIP coverage, which lead to untreated health issues that only add to the emotional and financial burden. Finally, let's swipe away these problems by giving some sensible solutions. Community support is crucial. Programs that connect immigrant families with resources such as language classes, job training, and mental health services can make a significant difference. The Department of Physiology in 2020 claims that quantitative studies have shown that community participation among immigrants improves their biracial competencies, social relationships, and identity and adaptation to the new culture. Schools can also play a huge role by fostering inclusive environments and providing support for children and their families. Additionally, mentorship programs can help single immigrant parents navigate their new surroundings by connecting them with individuals who understand their struggles. We can create a sense of community and belonging. National Institute of Health in 2022 states that peer mentoring programs are used to facilitate resettlement, build empowerment, and improve job readiness for refugees and migrant women. There is so much an individual can do to make things a little easier for these parents. Access to legal aid, language support, employment assistance, healthcare access, community support, financial aid programs are some ways to help these struggling families. Letting them know that they're not alone is a way to help them feel comfortable, giving them a hand to hold when they really need it. Finally, today, we first got up our maps and identified the struggles single immigrant parents face. Then, we put on our backpacks and identify the struggles and identify the causes for their struggles before finally swiping away these problems by giving some sensible solutions. I want to emphasize the strengths of single immigrant parents like my mother. Their life may be filled filled with obstacles, but it's also rich with resilience, hope, and love. By acknowledging their struggles and working together to find solutions, we can help create a more supportive environment to facilitate environment to families like mine. So just like Dora, let's keep on advocating for those who faces these challenges every day.